Welcome to Bookish Mind, Season 05, Episode 04. Today we delve into Daniel Goleman's insightful book, Focus, to explore a fascinating paradox. One of our most profound breakthroughs aren't found in relentless concentration, but in the spaciousness of a mind set free. For this deep dive, we're challenging the conventional wisdom that relentless, nose-to-the-grindstone focus is always the pathway to innovation and insight. Instead, we're going to uncover the surprising, often overlooked value of simply letting our minds drift. All of our insights today come from specific excerpts provided to us from Goleman's seminal work, Focus, offering a truly compelling perspective on attention and creativity. Okay, so let's get into this. We're often told that unwavering concentration is, the ultimate goal. It's the key to productivity, solving complex problems. But Goleman's work makes us consider a pretty radical idea. What if that relentless pursuit of single-minded focus isn't always serving our highest potential? The source material suggests we might have this deep-seated bias towards goal-driven attention, almost to the point where we completely undervalue those moments our minds wander off.
It's true. And what's particularly striking is just how common mind wandering actually is. I mean, research indicates that almost half of our waking thoughts are daydreams.
Half. Wow.
Yeah, about half. We spend pretty much as much time lost in thought as we do actively focusing on specific tasks. And this sheer prevalence, well, it isn't just some quirk of human nature. It strongly suggests there's got to be some inherent, maybe evolutionary value to it, something far beyond just zoning out. It implies we might be drifting towards something valuable rather than simply, away from what we think is important at that moment.
That's a crucial distinction, isn't it? And it brings up a real challenge for brain researchers. How do you even begin to study spontaneous thought? You can't just tell someone, okay, now have a completely random, undirected thought.
Exactly. Researchers have to get quite clever about it, often catching these wandering moments in the wild, so to speak, pausing experiments, asking participants what was just going through their minds.
Right, trying to net that elusive butterfly, as you said.
Precisely. It's tricky stuff. And the brain's natural inclination to drift, it's so powerful that cognitive scientists have identified mind wandering as its default mode.
The default mode.
Yeah, when it's not actively engaged in a specific demanding task. Brain imaging studies have pinpointed the key circuitry for this default network. It's in the medial prefrontal cortex.
Oh, okay.
It seems to be the brain's natural resting state, where it processes, organizes, makes sense of things without conscious effort.
But here's where it gets really intriguing and maybe a bit confusing. Recent brain scans have added a whole new layer to this understanding. They revealed a surprise. During mind wandering, it's not just that medial default network that's active. The executive system of the prefrontal cortex.
The part we use for focus.
Exactly. The part we've always associated with keeping us focused and on task, that also lights up. That's a bit of a puzzle, right? How can the very system designed for concentration be active when our minds are, well, wandering?
It really does prompt us to rethink our assumptions about focus, doesn't it? Researchers are tentatively suggesting that while mind wandering can indeed momentarily hinder our immediate performance on, say, a specific task.
Right, like if you drift off during a meeting.
Exactly. But it appears to be borrowing the executive system for other, equally vital internal processing. Our source highlights that our minds often wander toward our current personal concerns, unresolved business.
The stuff we need to figure out.
Yes, the things we need to figure out, the dilemmas we're grappling with in our lives. So even when it feels like we're just spaced out, our brain might actually be engaging in a form of quiet, internal problem solving, using its executive functions to sort through our lives.
So it's not just about tackling those personal dilemmas then. It sounds like a mind that's given the freedom to drift also acts as a potent catalyst for creativity. The source emphasizes that when our minds are adrift, our creative juices can really flow, making us better at anything that relies on a sudden flash of insight.
Like imaginative wordplay or even groundbreaking inventions.
Yeah.
You're hitting on a key point there. If we broaden our perspective a bit, we see that individuals who are exceptionally skilled at tasks demanding high cognitive control.
Like those complex math problems you mentioned.
Exactly, the ones with a roaring working memory. They can actually find themselves struggling with creative breakthroughs. Why? Precisely because they find it hard to switch off that intense, concentrated focus. It really underscores the importance of having different modes of thought available, and crucially, the mental flexibility to shift between them. Sometimes the very act of just relaxing our grip allows those new connections to form.
It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it? We're so conditioned to believe that bearing down, concentrating harder is always the answer.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other surprising positive functions of mind wandering that the source outlines, beyond just incubating creative ideas?
Well, the source paints a pretty rich picture, actually. For one, it's crucial for generating scenarios for the future.
Like planning ahead, mentally rehearsing things.
Exactly, allowing us to mentally rehearse potential outcomes and plan ahead. It fosters deep self-reflection, too, helping us understand our own emotions and motivations.
Makes sense.
It's vital for navigating a complex social world. We process interactions, empathize.
Right.
It helps us integrate and organize new information, letting us ponder what we're learning and solidify memories. And importantly, it provides a much-needed mental break for the brain circuitry involved in intensive focusing. It prevents burnout.
That's a big one.
It really is. And on a simpler level, it helps us remember things we need to do later so they don't get lost.
Little reminders bubbling up.
Yeah, it's basically this multi-purpose mental tool that's constantly working behind the scenes.
That makes me think about those serendipitous moments, those aha discoveries that seem to come out of absolutely nowhere. The source mentions that ancient Persian fairy tale, the three princes of Serendip, who made discoveries of things they weren't even looking for.
Yeah.
How does this idea of a wandering mind contribute to what the source calls the architecture of serendipity?
That fairy tale is such a perfect metaphor for this. It really speaks to the power of open awareness. The source offers a great modern parallel with Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce.
Oh, yeah.
He recounts taking a month off in Hawaii, not with a specific work agenda, just to relax, create some open space. And this period of mental freedom, it allowed his mind to quietly piece together these disparate trends in tech and business he hadn't had the bandwidth to connect before.
Wow.
Which ultimately led to the revolutionary concept of Salesforce and pioneering cloud computing.
Just from taking a break.
Pretty much. And it's a stark contrast, isn't it, to maybe a scientist who's too narrowly focused on confirming one hypothesis. They might dismiss genuinely groundbreaking findings as just noise because they don't fit the expected pattern.
Right, missing a huge opportunity.
Exactly. Missing a doorway to entirely new discoveries.
So it really comes down to a kind of receptivity, doesn't it? Being open. The source emphasizes that this open awareness creates a sort of mental platform for creative breakthroughs and unexpected insights. In that state, you kind of drop the internal critic. There's no cynicism, no judgment.
Just utter receptivity.
Yeah, just utter receptivity to whatever ideas float into the mind, letting your thoughts play without immediately slapping a label on them.
Precisely. But, and this is the crucial balance, once that insight hits,
Then you need focus.
absolutely, you need to switch back to keen, focused attention, to apply it, test it, put it to use. Serendipity truly involves both that initial openness to possibility and then the discipline of homing in on putting that new discovery into action.
Got it. Openness first, then focus.
Yeah, it fits a classic model of creativity.
Yeah.
You orient yourself, gather inputs, then selective attention on the problem, then open awareness for the solution to emerge.
And then you focus to make it real. What's truly fascinating, I think, is the connection the source draws to attention deficit disorder, or ADD. It notes that the very brain systems involved in mind wandering are unusually active in individuals with ADD.
That is interesting.
And the compelling part is that adults with ADD often show higher levels of original creative thinking and more actual creative achievements. Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Air, he's even famously offered himself as a kind of poster boy for success with ADD.
Right, he's quite open about it.
Yeah, openly attributing some of his innovative thinking to it.
Yes, and the research actually backs this up, this intriguing link. There was one experiment, for instance, that challenged volunteers to find novel uses for a simple brick.
Okay, a brick. What did they find?
The results showed that those whose minds had been allowed to wander beforehand, compared with those whose attention had been fully concentrated on the task, they came up with a remarkable 40% more original answers.
40%? That's huge.
It is. And if you look at highly creatively accomplished people those with a published novel, a patent, a successful art show, when they were tested for their ability to screen out irrelevant information to focus on a task, they actually showed more frequent mind wandering.
So being less able to screen things out correlated with more creativity.
It suggests a heightened open awareness, which likely served them incredibly well in their creative work. It wasn't a deficit in that context.
So this daydreamy reverie, or open awareness, seems absolutely critical. The source even mentions specific brain states that tend to precede insight. A relaxed, open focus marked by an alpha rhythm.
The alpha state, often linked with relaxation, light meditation.
Exactly. It signals that very state of mind-wandering reverie. And then, get this, just before creative insights truly break through, there are these things called gamma spikes.
Gamma spikes.
Yeah. And brain areas associated with dreams, metaphors, the logic of art, myth, poetry, the realm of the unconscious mind where seemingly anything is possible.
Wow, so it's like the brain is accessing this really different mode of thinking.
It seems so. It makes perfect sense that Freud's free association method, where you just speak whatever comes into your mind without censoring, is an example of accessing this potent open awareness mode.
Stepping back to look at the broader implications, a lot of modern creativity really comes from putting disparate ideas together in novel ways, doesn't it? From original synthesis, from asking smart questions that reveal untapped potential. The source shares that incredible story of astronomers Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson.
Oh, the Big Bang guys.
That's them. For about a year, they were using this powerful new equipment to search the universe, and they were consistently plagued by what they assumed was just meaningless static.
Right, or faulty equipment. Didn't they blame pigeons at one point?
They did. Literally pigeon droppings in their antenna. They tried everything. Then, a chance encounter with a nuclear physicist gave them an insight that completely flipped their perspective. They realized what they'd been interpreting as mere noise was actually a faint uniform signal.
The echo of the Big Bang.
The continued reverberations of the Big Bang, the cosmic background radiation, this huge discovery eventually earned them a Nobel Prize.
And it came from realizing the noise was the signal.
That's serendipity right there. Born from an open mind, being receptive enough to recognize a signal where a more rigidly focused mind might have only seen an error or, well, pigeon droppings.
This all clicks so perfectly when you consider it that way. It really brings to mind Albert Einstein's famous words.
Oh, I think I know the one you mean.
The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift.
Yes. Powerful quote.
It feels like maybe we're finally starting to reappreciate that gift, this intuitive, wandering aspect.
It really does emphasize this shift in perspective that's so needed, especially in our modern world. Our source highlights that uninterrupted private moments, those times when we can truly lean back, reflect, let our minds roam. Those are some of the most invaluable for cultivating creativity. It's in those moments of spaciousness that the brain can do its best, unhindered work.
But in our nonstop world, gosh, it feels like those moments are increasingly rare, doesn't it? With the constant emails, texts, alerts, the never-ending to-do lists, what the source actually calls the full catastrophe of daily distractions.
The full catastrophe, I like that. It feels accurate sometimes.
It does, and we're often locked into a brain state that's completely antithetical to this open focus. The source is pretty clear. This relentless barrage dead-ends innovation.
Precisely. Innovation thrives in what the source terms open times. And this is why the annals of discovery are just so rife with tales of brilliant insights striking during a leisurely walk or a relaxing bath, a long train ride, a much-needed vacation.
Right. The classic eureka moments rarely happen chained to a desk.
Exactly. Open time lets the creative spirit truly flourish. Conversely, tight, hyper-scheduled routines often kill it before it even has a chance to breathe.
That makes me think of the late Peter Schweitzer, a legendary founder in cryptography mentioned in the source. He tackled these incredibly complex code-breaking challenges, but not in some sterile, sound-insulated office.
No. Where then?
By simply mulling them over while on a long walk, or even sunbathing with his eyes closed.
Sunbathing.
Seriously. His colleague noted that while Schweitzer might have looked like he was napping, his mind was actually going a zillion miles an hour, doing higher math in his head, totally unconstrained by conventional working environments.
His approach perfectly encapsulates this crucial concept of a creative cocoon, which actually emerged from a Harvard Business School study of highly successful creative project teams.
A creative cocoon, okay. What did they find?
For these teams, progress wasn't necessarily about these singular grand breakthroughs. It was more often a series of small wins.
Small wins.
Yeah, minor innovations solved problems on concrete steps toward a larger goal. The key elements they discovered were having clear goals, significant freedom in how to achieve them.
Okay, autonomy.
Yes, and most critically, protected time. Dedicated, uninterrupted moments to truly think freely. That combination creates the creative cocoon.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listener? We've explored how a mind set free, a mind allowed to wander and embrace open awareness, isn't a mere distraction, but actually a powerful engine For creativity, for deeply understanding ourselves, for solving complex problems, and ultimately for those breakthrough insights.
It genuinely suggests that perhaps the most profound discoveries, maybe even personal breakthroughs, aren't always found through relentless brute force concentration, but in actively finding and maybe protecting that spaciousness of a mind set free.
So as you go about your day, maybe consider where you might intentionally create your own creative cocoon. Could a short walk, a few moments of quiet reflection, or even just allowing your mind to drift during a less demanding task? Could that unlock an insight you didn't even know you were looking for? What surprising connections might your mind make if you just gave it the space to roam?